Hey guys, what's up? This is MC Darvel. I'm back at you with another time-lapse video, and this time we're doing an entire comic page from scratch. So let's get rolling with that time-lapse. So clearly, when starting a comic page, you've got to lay out the panels. And the text on the screen is what I got from my writer. Before we get any further, I want to talk about something I'm going to be doing in the next few videos. Which is kind of going through this wheel of fortune, if you will, of characters and picking two from this wheel of fortune and mashing them up. So I've already done the first mashup character, and you can see that on my Instagram, which I just put there on the screen. So go check it out if you're really too impatient to wait for that time-lapse video. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. And wait till the end of the video to actually see that Wheel of Fortune spin and see what the first two mashup characters are going to be. So anyway, let's get back to the drawing. So, like I said, this is an entire comic page from scratch, so it's not really from scratch necessarily, in the sense that there are a couple of panels that I had already done previously, and actually did these panels a long time ago, and they'll show up here in a second. And I'll talk about those a little bit later. So I guess I'll talk about the process a little bit here. So in this page, it's sort of another action and suspense page. We have this group of robbers holding up this mansion. You see the one I'm drawing right there. His name is Skull. I think I had introduced one of the other robbers, whose name is Plague, in a previous video where I did another comic page. And so they're both, along with another robber holding up this mansion. They're looking for somebody in particular. So, and here I'm showing the previous page up on the top right there. Our heroine, Vigil, is looking in on this whole situation and trying to do something about it. So she's tackled their guard, their lookout, and the robbers inside hear that and are like, what's going on? So Skull is using that walkie-talkie in the top left panel, saying, hey, what's going on out there? He's not getting a response because the guard and Vigil are grappling, and that the guard's walkie-talkie has been lost in the mud. And so in the third panel, the guard breaks free from Vigil and runs up to the door, and I'm drawing that guard kind of pounding on the door, begging to be let in. He's actually pretty scared of Vigil. Maybe he got spooked by her jumping in on him. There I've brought up Google SketchUp, and there's this door I found in their 3D model library that I liked and I thought fit the overall aesthetic of the mansion. So I grabbed that, took a screenshot, and put it in the comic page. And then I had to kind of redraw the guard there to make sure his perspective fit the perspective of that door. There I'm grabbing that door again because it's going to be featured in bottom panel. In this panel, the robbers hear the banging on the door and are spooked even more by what's going on. Everybody's a little paranoid, except perhaps Vigil. And they're saying, what's going on? We're being attacked, or it's the police. And so they're going to take extreme measures in a second. And you'll see that in the last two panels. So I was having a conversation with my writer a little bit earlier about this comic, and we were kind of discussing what I could talk about in this picture or in this video. And really what came to mind for both of us is kind of looking in retrospect at why we even started this comic and what our goal was and what we've learned from it. We've spent several years on this comic. I don't even remember what year we started it. It was certainly somewhere around 2017 or earlier. And, you know, obviously we wanted to have a comic book. We wanted to create a comic book, but I don't think we just wanted, you know, ink on paper. I think we wanted to learn how to do it well. And, you know, both from a writing stance and from illustration stance. And we both started essentially from scratch. Well, I don't know if saying from scratch is fair. We both were fans of the genre and both dabbled in both visual art and writing. But, you know, we weren't practiced by any means. And we were, I guess, fortunate enough or smart enough to understand those shortcomings. And then, you know, looked at that and said, well, maybe our main goal should be just to learn how to make a comic, you know, and forget how long it takes. You know, let's just make something that we're proud of and we're sure that we fully vetted to the best of our ability. So, you know, and plus, you know, we're both a little too old for art school, even though, you know, I thought about it. And we, you know, and by that I mean, you know, go to art school, go through the traditional channels towards getting a job in the industry. You know, you make connections there and whatnot. And of course, you learn more about how to perfect your art. But you know, I'm pretty well established in my own career, and plus we kind of want to self-publish this, or maybe even present it to Image Comics and see if they'd like to take a stab at it. So that's just to say, we're not super interested in the traditional routes or the big name companies for publishing. So, like I said, you know, I'm using some art that I had done previously for this page many years ago, maybe 4 years ago at the most. And I'll put the original draft of this page up alongside the previous page, that the prior page to this page, and that's just to show that we've kind of split up some of the key frames or key moments in this sequence into, instead of just one page, which was the older page, into 2 pages. And that goes to, you know, that speaks to another lesson that we've both learned, is it's very natural and easy to want to put too much into one page. It's a challenge to understand how much you should put on one page. And, you know, just to share some of, you know, what we've learned from this experience, is that clarity is better than detail. And one example of how that can be applied is by just making sure each page is readable as its own self-contained story. And when we were having this discussion, my first thought was, well, you know, we've sort of evolved towards making each page its own self-contained story. But I wonder if and here I'm going to give myself maybe more credit than I deserve. I wonder if it's because I view comic book pages, individual comic book pages, as self-contained pieces of art. Not just a part of a story, but as, something that can stand on its own as a piece of art. That's how I see comic book pages. So that's, a little lesson that we've both learned over time. Maybe it's not the right way in every situation, but we do find it at least easier and more appealing visually to not cram too much into one page. So my writer and I talked about a lot of things, but one of the more interesting things I guess we talked about is how frequently I end up drawing something differently than he had imagined it. And I think, just on a personal note, I think that's a personality that comes from a personality feature that I guess I have, which is I'm pretty strong at least I think I'm pretty strong at achieving my own vision of something, but not as strong as achieving what somebody else is envisioning for something. For example, this comic book. So it's just, I thought it was kind of interesting how personality characteristics can show up in so many different aspects of life and in work and relationships, and that's showing up in our comic books, and it's really informing how we've developed as a writer and illustrator team. And it's also something you want to reflect on, or at least I want to reflect on and try to understand how to achieve the vision of others, because when you're on a team, it's always helpful to be able to demonstrate that you can achieve what somebody else is envisioning for a product. And there's always going to be situations in which you're going to do it better than they would envision, but it's a great exercise to try to put yourself in their shoes, because you're going to learn something regardless. And again, you don't want to always just give in and just ignore your own impulses towards how you think it should be achieved, but you certainly should do the exercise of trying to envision what they're envisioning. A lot of that can come from talking to them, asking questions. I do want to quickly mention before I forget about it that the panel on the bottom left, at least the original panel that was there, which is no longer being shown, I'll put it up on the screen there. Actually, one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me in my life is related to this panel, and that thing is that when I posted it on Instagram, I got a like from Todd McFarlane, none other than the creator and writer and sometime artist of Spawn, which was a huge, probably the biggest influence on me wanting to become a comic book artist, especially when Greg Capullo was the artist for Spawn. I think I also really enjoyed Angel Medina's work on Spawn, but I haven't, or maybe he did something else related to Spawn, I forget. Kiss, maybe? Yeah, I mean, I know he did Kiss, the comic book by Image about the band Kiss, which I thought was beautifully done. But he might have some relation to Spawn. I feel like he does. Anyway, big influence on me as a kid, and yeah, that was just really made my year when he liked it. And I don't mean this as a brag or anything. I'm truly happy that somehow he saw it and he liked it. And it also, this panel, I went through several iterations of that actual panel. And that happens from time to time, maybe not so much recently, because I'm sort of in practice as of late. I've been drawing a lot, but in the past, before I was really in practice, I would draw panels over and over and over, and I'll show a couple examples of the iterations I went through for this panel up on the screen there. And yeah, I remember one day I was just at work and looking at these different iterations of the panel, and just like there's some energy missing here, so I did a gesture drawing, and it ended up becoming the drawing that Todd McFarlane liked. So just to remind you, at the end, about 1 minute before the end of the actual video, I'm going to be spinning the magic wheel to determine what is the character mashup going to be. Again, if you're too impatient, you want to just see the drawing of the first character mashup, go ahead and go to my Instagram. It's MC Darvel, and you can check it out. So I'm just putting in the bold blacks. I mentioned in a previous video that this is kind of the style I've landed on, where I have a single line weight bold line for the line art, and then just drop in some large black areas, which are not meant to be shading by any means. They're just meant to indicate things that are actually black. And I just really like the feeling it gives, that black walkie-talkie radio there. Looks nice on the page. I don't know, it adds some sort of like cookies and cream sort of feel to the whole thing. I don't know if that's the aesthetic. Now that I mention that, I don't know if that's really what I want to call it. I might just edit that out. We'll see. It just gives you a really nice aesthetic. Just something I'm going for, and yeah. I do put like a little bit of gray there to represent the blood. And I didn't mention that, that was the unfortunate fate of the guard there, that his own friends or partners in crime. Oh, we're rolling. Green Ranger from Power Rangers. And Thor from Marvel. That's going to be really fun. It was really fun. Actually, I already did it. Sorry if that's too gimmicky for you guys. I just thought it would be fun to do that. So here's the final page, y'all. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next video, the character mashup of Thor and the Green Ranger. Thanks for watching, guys. Later.